unleashed.
Mr. Nebrita's dog bit my dog. Mr. Nebrita was not present.
A second attack repeated the terror.
Gary came to the front of my garage. Athena noticed that he was coming in, and they actually scuffled again.
This man let his poodle come into your garage. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't you have family?
This is Judge Judy. Gary Wong is suing his neighbor, Ronald Nebrita, for vet bills, broken glasses, and emotional distress due to a dog attack.
Judge, this is case number 76 on the calendar in the matter of Wong versus Nebrita. Parties have been sworn in. Sir, have a seat, please.
Thank you, Bird. Mr. Wong, you have a little dog, a poodle. Is it a standard poodle? Is it a miniature poodle? Is it a toy poodle?
He's a 10-pound miniature poodle.
How long have you had him?
Had him for over 3-4 years.
It is your claim that on 2 separate occasions, one in March of this year and once again in September of this year, that the defendant's dog, while unleashed, bit your dog. You have some substantial vet bills that you want him to be responsible for. Would you tell me about the first incident that happened in March of 2020?
Yes. So the incident happened at 10 a.m. for the leash, and as I walked 3...
No, just a second. Stop. Did you say off the leash or on the leash?
On leash. So he was on leash.
On leash.
Next to me. So I walk 4 houses away from my house, and then I noticed that Mr. Nebrita's dog came over and pretty much circled around my dog and pretty much made my dog anxious. And then before I knew it, Mr. Nebrita's dog bit my dog. And then at that time, Mr. Nebrita was not present.
But had you ever seen Mr. Nebrita's dog before?
I have seen Mr. Nebrita's dog before.
So there was no question that the dog was his dog and came from his house. How far does he live from you?
He lives across the street and 1 house to the left.
Okay, so pretty close. How long have you had your dog, Mr. Nebrita?
For over 2 years.
Where were you on March the 30th, 2020?
I was actually...
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
I was actually upstairs in my apartment.
And who was responsible for your dog?
My neighbor, Paul, was actually... I asked him to watch Athena as I went upstairs.
Okay. So you were outside with your dog, whose name is Athena. What kind of a dog is Athena?
Athena is a German Shepherd and a Siberian Husky mix.
So you had been out with the dog?
No, we usually hang out in the garage. She sleeps in the garage, and, you know, we go up and down into the apartment. And Paul, my neighbor...
Okay, just... You and Athena were... Athena was off-leash with you in the garage. You were putting around.
Yes.
Your neighbor came in, and you went upstairs.
Correct.
And you left your neighbor in charge of the unleashed dog.
In the garage, yes.
In the garage?
Correct.
Well, I assume the garage was closed?
It was open.
It was open, so that the dog could just walk out of the garage?
She could have, yes, and yes, because it was open.
Well, that's what she did.
Yes.
That's what she did. She walked out, and she was off-leash.
Correct.
So there's no question that you're responsible for any vet bills that the plaintiff has for the March 30th incident. You understand that?
Okay. But...
Now, did Mr. Wong come to your house? How did you find out that your dog had bitten his dog?
Well, he came to my house, me not knowing that he actually went to the vet for his dog. And I told him that, you know, I would be, as neighborly, I would help him out with some of the bill, possibly if I had extra cash or whatever.
Not neighborly. Did your neighbor with whom you left Athena tell you that your dog had been involved in an incident? The neighbor is here.
Yes.
Let him stand up. I want to see him. Would you move over, please? You're his neighbor. What is your name?
Paul Poilui.
Is that true?
Yes, I was.
Now, Athena left the garage and went across the street.
That didn't happen.
No, look at me. Look, just a second.
At you.
Look at my eyes.
Yes.
Athena left the garage and went across the street. Did you follow her?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then they approached each other. The 2 dogs approached each other, and then that's when I seen Gary's dog bit Athena. So she reacted and bit it back. And then...
That couldn't have happened if Athena wasn't out without a leash. Sit. What were the vet bills for March 30th?
The March 30th bills was $1,487.
Did he give you any money towards those bills?
So after I approached Mr. Nebrita to try to work out the situation, he was telling me the situation is like, oh, with COVID, everything, it was very difficult for him. So we tried to work out a plan.
Did he give you any money is my question.
No.
The answer is no, he did not.
No.
Now, I'd like you to tell me what happened on September 16th.
So what happened on September 16th, it was 7 p.m. and I came down from my apartment and I was going to take out the garbage and then walk my dog right after. And I look across the street and I see Mr. Nebrito walking over to another neighbor's house. Loki assumed that he was going to talk to some friends. Then I look over to where his place is, and then I noticed that his dog, Athena, was right across the street staring at my dog.
Just stop. Was she across the street alone?
Yes, across the street alone and unleashed.
He wasn't there.
No.
I mean, he was walking over to another neighbor's house.
Correct.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
That Athena was across the street. Now, was your dog on a leash?
He was on leash.
Yes?
Yes.
Then tell me what happened.
So I went down to pick up my dog, and then before I knew it, Athena ran over and pretty much bit my dog. Then I'm trying to grab Athena to try to get him off. And all I just hear is my dog just started screaming. So then I just hear like bites after bites, and then I'm just trying to shout, "Get off my dog, get off my dog." Soon after, I hear Mr. Nebrada saying, "Athena, get off, get off." And then after a couple bites, then he finally let go of my dog.
Your version.
I was in the garage
Nebrita,
with Athena.
your version.
I was in the garage with Athena. Gary came to front of my garage. Athena noticed that he was coming in, and they actually scuffled again. And it wasn't even that long of a time for her to really actually bite and attack her, but no.
Are you telling, listen to me.
Yes.
Nebrita.
Yes.
Are you telling me that after that, his poodle come into your garage? Is that what you're telling? That's what you want this face to believe?
It happened in front of my garage.
This is what
yes.
you want? This
yes.
is what you want this face to believe, that after this young man witnessed his dog being bit in March, he came over, across the street from his house to your house, to the open garage.
Yes.
He did that.
In front of my garage.
You're an idiot. You want me to believe that after he witnessed his dog being bloodied in March, that had to be stitched up in March, he took his 10-pound dog across the street to your unleashed dog, who was again sitting in the garage,
yes.
sitting in the garage. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't you have family who watch television? Don't humiliate yourself. How much were the bills in September?
The bill in September was $4,500.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. They ought to make you have this dog muzzled at all times. And you better check your homeowner's insurance. If you have a job, the next time it happens, they're going to garnish your salary or take away your car or whatever else they have. Goodbye. We're finished.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
With Athena being a larger dog.
It's definitely a relief to actually get some sort of conclusion.
Well, I was in the garage when Gary did come in front of the garage.
Well, especially with the first incidents, I avoid his house as much as possible.
All parties in the matter of Estrada versus Barreco. Step forward, please.
Angela Estrada says her former tenant, Madison Barreco, moved out owing for rent, bills, and damages to her home.
Miss Estrada, the defendant was a tenant of yours.
Yes.
From when to when?
She originally rented the house in June of 2018. She moved in with her boyfriend.
I didn't ask you who she moved in with.
I'm sorry.
I just said, when did her tenancy start?
Her tenancy started
June
in
of
June
2018. Did she have a one-year lease or a two-year lease?
It was originally a one-year lease that went to a month-to-month tenancy thereafter.
So she was a tenant of yours from June of 2018 to May 31st, 2019, when she became a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Thereafter, she was your tenant until June of this year?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
From June 2018 to June 2019, did the defendant pay you rent?
Yes, ma'am.
And from June of 2019 until May of you rent?
Yes, ma'am. Not always on time towards the end.
Well, you were aware as a landlord that there was a moratorium on eviction for tenants.
Yes, ma'am. I never tried to evict her.
That's not my question. Why don't you let me finish my question?
Okay.
There was a moratorium on eviction for non-payment of rent because of the pandemic starting in March. You were aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
And despite the fact that you were aware that you were forbidden to evict the defendant, she paid you rent
Yes,
in
ma'am.
March, in April.
No, ma'am. She didn't pay in April.
No rent in April. In May,
She paid April's rent in mid-May, and she paid May's rent at the end of May.
what difference does it make? You got paid for 3 months' rent, despite the fact that you had no recourse if she stopped paying you rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? So she was one of the good guys who continued to pay rent even though their landlord would have no recourse if they stopped.
I didn't have an issue with her paying the rent.
So that's just, well, that's not 100%
On time.
true because you have in your complaint late fees.
Yes, ma'am.
So I am eliminating that. And the only part of your complaint that I'm going to hear is because the rest of it is nonsense, Mr. Strader. You should say thank you very much for being an honest person and paying your rent, even though I couldn't have done anything to you if you didn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Without my permission, Miss Barreco painted the bedrooms. She left painter's tape. It peeled all of the paint off.
You hadn't painted the house in 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Time to paint.
Angela Estrada is suing her former tenant, Madison Barreco, for property damage, utilities, lock changing fees, and for prorated rent she never paid.
Now, she gave you a security deposit, and the security deposit was how much?
$1,000.
Did you return the security deposit to her?
No, ma'am.
So you kept the security deposit, for which I assume you were alleging damage.
Yes, ma'am. Lots of damage.
So far, $1,000 of that you've kept for some of the damage. Now I would like to see what you are alleging she caused $4,000 worth.
Absolutely. We had an appointment for her to come through a walkthrough. Actually, we made several appointments.
That is not a question that I asked you. What I asked you was I'd like to see photographs of the damage that you are alleging she caused to the premises. Photographs.
Okay. This first photograph is of the security door as you get to the house. And when I got to the house, the security door couldn't close any longer because it had been pried open at some point, and it would no longer shut, lock, or close.
Okay. Stop right there. Leave that there. Miss Barreco, how did that happen to the door?
The door, it wasn't that bad when we moved in 2018. I'll admit that. It was not that bad. There was one day that we were outside. We had to pry that open because of how old that screen was.
Okay. Now, what I'd like to see is a bill to repair that door, the security door. Okay. Security door replace, new security door install, replace broken jambs, new door install. Okay. $360. What's next?
When I got to the house, this is the air filter in the hallway, and it had never been changed, and it was actually sucked up into the vent. I know it hadn't been changed because I dated
Next.
them.
You should have changed it. You're the landlord.
The carpeting could not be cleaned. It was filthy, so I had the carpeting removed.
And you want her to pay for new carpeting?
Yes, ma'am. The carpeting was brand new when she moved in.
The carpet was not brand new. She had tenants living there before me,
I had it professionally cleaned before she moved in.
but it wasn't brand new.
It was not brand new.
That's a different,
but it
just a
was-
second. That's
I apologize.
That's a different
I misspoke.
story.
It was
That's a different
in
story.
like
What's
new
next?
conditioner.
What's next?
In one of the
What's next?
bedrooms?
360.
Without my permission, Miss Barreco painted the bedrooms and then tried to repaint over where she had painted them. She left painter's tape attached to the walls, and you can see it's not covering the actual paint at all. When I took the painter's tape off, it peeled all of the paint off.
Miss Estrada, how many rental properties do you have?
Just the one, Your Honor. This was my grandfather's house. He left it to me.
In what year?
It would have been almost 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years ago in a month from when he passed away.
And have you constantly rented that house?
Well, I spent a year renovating it. I took out a very large loan and renovated the whole house.
Just a second. Has the house been consistently rented since then?
Most of the time, yes. There might have been a month or two gap, but for the most part, it's been rented the whole time.
Have you done any since you totally renovated the home 11 years ago?
I replaced the carpet 5 years ago, 2 years before Miss Barreco was in it. So when I say I replaced it, it would have
5
been...
years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Did a new tenant move into the house?
Since Miss
After
Barreco left?
The defendant
Yes.
left?
6 weeks
Yes.
after, yes. She started renting in August. I spent 6 weeks fixing everything.
So she moved in August 1st?
The new tenant moved in August 1st, yes.
And you were paid your rent from the defendant through most of June.
Yes, ma'am.
So the only month that you didn't have
Was July.
was July. And you hadn't painted the house in 5 years,
Yes, ma'am.
according to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Time to paint.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you know anything about a broken window?
The window that she's talking about that's cracked or missing or whatever was from the gardeners. So I was not going to pay for the window that they broke.
Do you know how the gardeners broke that window?
Maybe a rock hit it. I don't know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Estrada is suing her former tenant, Madison Barreco, for property damage, utilities, lock changing fees, and for prorated rent she never paid.
Now, clearly, you were able to put August. With only 1 month downtime, you have a new tenant. Show me the other pictures of the other damage that you're alleging. So far, you have $1,000 in
In the
security
bathroom,
deposit
the toilet
that you
wouldn't
retained.
flush, and the toilet seat was broken, so I had to call a plumber out.
Okay. I would like to see the bill from the plumber. $273.12.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we're up to $633. What's next?
The house was left very, very dirty.
Now I will see a bill from a cleaning service to clean the apartment after the defendant left.
This was the bill for the cleaning company to come in and clean the house.
Great. Window cleaning, she's not responsible for. So that's $400 that you paid to clean.
Yes, ma'am.
$1033. What else?
When she moved out, she
What else?
She didn't return all of the keys. I had to have the locks changed.
That's your business. What's next?
There was also one window that was broken and one that was missing completely, so I had to have those two windows replaced.
Picture, please. Do you know anything about a broken window?
I had replaced
Miss
a broken
Barreco?
window, yes, but the other window, no. And the window that she's talking about that's cracked or missing or whatever was from the gardeners on me.
Miss Barreco never let me know
Do you
there was a
how
broken window.
Do you know how the gardeners broke that window?
Maybe a rock hit it. I don't know, but I know for a fact that it wasn't me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Did you replace a window?
I replaced a window, yes.
Tell me when you replaced a window and how did it come about that you needed to replace a window?
The window in the living room. My dog, there was somebody walking and he was barking and he pushed the window and it fell out and broke. I had that one replaced. But that one, I don't know,
Okay.
and the gardener.
This was in one of the bedrooms, and as you can see, there's no window there.
Okay, very good. Would you remove the phone, please, and let me see the bill?
That's the glass shop bill.
$110. That's the glass.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so far, she owes you $143. You have kept $1,000 of her security deposit. The overage of what you showed me is $143.
Additionally, she
Nowhere near
threw out all of
$4,000.
the curtains in the house. She admits to throwing them out.
Miss Estrada?
Yes, ma'am.
$143. Consider yourself lucky. We're finished. This case is over. Goodbye.
Case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Judge Judy. The reasons to evict were growing.
He brought in his daughter, and then he brought in his second daughter, and then he brought in his third daughter.
You had 60 days to leave. Why didn't you?
Judge Judy.
Miss Barreco destroyed my grandfather's house.
I am glad with the decision because I don't believe I should have paid anything.
It just broke my heart that she would be so disrespectful to me.
The house was not in perfect condition before I moved in.
A roommate moves out,
All of the bills were in my name. She owes me for all of them.
but she can't move on.
She had an altercation with the other roommate.
Getting a dog that she complained about.
Yes, that's what happened.
She parked her car in such a way that you could not get your car out. And you also think she's responsible for that.
Absolutely not.
Let's get real.
This is Judge Judy. Caitlin Zimbardi is suing her former roommate, 24-year-old Brittany Hill, for rent, utility bills, and damage to her car. Brittany is countersuing for harassment and
48 on the calendar in the matter of Zimbardi versus Hill. Parties have been sworn in. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Thank you, Bert. Ms. Zimbardi, the defendant was a roommate of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it is your claim, she's no longer a roommate of yours, that she owes you for rent. The rent you are alleging she owes you was someone else's rent. You understand that it is your claim that the defendant had an argument with one of your other roommates. Because of the argument, which you believe she initiated, the other roommate moved out, and you believe because she was responsible for that argument, she should pay that roommate's share of the rent.
Yes, Your Honor, that's true.
Am I getting that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's your first claim.
Correct.
Your second claim is that at some point while she was your roommate, she parked her car in such a way that you could not get your car out.
Yes, that's
of
true.
Your parking spot. I'm just trying to get this all down right. You knocked at her door to tell her to move her car. She did not respond. So you went back to your car and tried to maneuver around her car and broke your mirror. Also think she's responsible for that.
Yes, because if she
So
wouldn't
those
have
are the two things.
Yes.
Yes.
If she would not have been parked behind me, I could have gotten out easily.
And your counterclaim is that she made your life miserable as a roommate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Something about you getting a dog that she complained about, and I don't care. Neither does the law.
Right.
Okay, whether she reported you for having a dog and that would upset you, and nobody cares about that. So your counterclaim is dismissed. I'm going to dismiss your claim as well, but I may let you tell
There's
me
additional
why you
claims.
why you think she's responsible for your other roommate's rent. Okay?
Yes. It was considered a
5
house.
minutes of my time.
Okay, the rent was considered a house rent. We had all moved in together September 1st of 2019. None of us had known each other. And in that 2 weeks, she had an altercation with the other roommate. She had texted her she doesn't want her to move in, even though we tried to have a conversation about making things smooth so we can continue living together. I have text messages showing that she told her, I don't want you to move in, and I don't like you. You have a bad attitude. And from another speaking to Brittany, she got bad responses from Brittany. She was rude to her, and she also didn't want to move in. And so then when the rent was due, I was the one who had to cover the $1,100. She said that because it was her fault that she would pay me back for it.
Well, I'd like to see somewhere, because do you acknowledge, Miss Hill, that you agreed to pay her back for roommates that didn't move in?
Absolutely not. I'm not a subletter.
Okay,
I'm on the lease.
listen to what I'm saying. Just answer my question.
Sure.
Do you have anything in writing from her where she acknowledges that she will pay the rent for other people because they didn't move in because she said she didn't like them?
No, I don't have that in writing. I do have the in writing of her telling the roommate not to move in.
I don't need that.
Okay.
That's not an issue. She still wouldn't be responsible for their rent.
Well, it is a household rent, and our landlord has claimed time and time again that we're all responsible for the full amount.
Well, you are, but she doesn't owe you for anything. She owes the landlord. So now let me understand this. I just want to understand. The other roommates didn't move in. She doesn't live there anymore. Is that right? She doesn't live there anymore.
She just moved out this
month. Or does she?
No.
Up until the time she moved out, was she paying her rent?
No, she stopped paying rent. I'm at my main claim request is back owed utility bills.
All right. Well, then let's get real, because she doesn't owe you for somebody else's rent, and she doesn't owe you because you couldn't back out your car.
If that was even true.
That's on you. You got to take responsibility. Just a second. I don't need your help. I've been doing this job a long time. If you, because of your misjudgment, have an accident, that's on you. That's not on her because she didn't move her car.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, what you're suing her for, if what you're telling me is utilities, up until last month. Last month was, she moved out in November? November what?
I moved out
when?
December
November
5th.
Okay. And what utility bills are you referencing specifically?
I have 2 LADWP bills, 1 SoCal gas bill, and 1 Spectrum bill. All of the bills were in my name. So she owes me for all of them.
Okay. And during the prior time that you were living there, I assume that there were 4 roommates altogether?
At times 4, at times 3 because of COVID. 1 had moved out.
So she owes 25% of the utility bills. What are the total of the utility bills that were outstanding through December 5th that she didn't pay?
She owes $530.
What the total was of the utility bills through when she moved out December 5th? Not what you say her share is. My question was specific.
Well, I moved out in October, so that's when the bills are from.
You moved out in October.
Yes.
Leaving her there, and she didn't pay rent until March. Okay, so now let me see the utility bills. You acknowledge, Ms. Hill, that they were all in Ms. Zimbardi's name.
Yes.
And you are responsible for 25% of whatever is due and owing on those utility bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now let's see the final invoice of the utility bills. Give me the amount so that I don't have to look at it. The amount, the total amount due and owing on your last bill. First, the date of the first bill.
Well, the first bill was from September, and that's the total amount.
Well, did she pay that in September? You were all living
No.
there in September.
She didn't pay that.
When was the last time you paid a utility bill?
The last time I paid was in August.
Hill.
In September, I told her that I had to
Okay.
get my car fixed. My unemployment was backed up.
Okay, so she owes 25% of 1,030.
Well, I have 3 more bills.
Just a second.
Okay.
So far.
And at the time, there was only 3 of us living there. So we each paid a
I don't
third.
care.
Our LADWP
What's the next
bill
bill?
was the final bill after I moved out we received because it's a quarterly bill.
Okay, hold on. What's next?
This is our SoCal gas bill from that month.
What's next?
Spectrum bill, our internet, $65.
Next?
That was the last one.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $365. Your counterclaim has already been dismissed. This case is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I think I was just living with a crazy person for the past year.
She has no goals in life, so maybe that's why there's so many problems between us.
She got an untrained puppy that she wanted to clean up after.
He's completely fine and just needed some training like any other puppy does.
I'm definitely going to do better vetting job.
I'm glad to put this behind me.
All parties in the matter of Savage versus Bergeron. Step to the podium, please.
Thomas and Marcy Savage are suing Trent Bergeron for failing to pay for 2 bird cages.
Mr. and Mrs. Savage, this is what I understand. Both you and your husband, as well as the defendant, are collectors of exotic birds. Had that as a hobby for many years. For some reason, you decided that you were no longer going to pursue over the course of this hobby bird cages and a large outdoor aviary in your backyard, which is just a huge bird cage. Do you have photographs of those things, by the way?
Yes, we do.
May I see them, please? Just so I can get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Here's a picture of one of the cages that was purchased.
And you had 2. Were they similar?
The second one is larger and has, let me take this one down. And the other one looks like this, yet it's white and it's larger, but the structure and
now,
the...
you bought these cages new, I assume, for
Yes.
your large birds. Now I want to see a picture of the outdoor aviary.
This is current day aviary.
Okay. It was in November of 2019 when you met the defendant. Defendant is also a collector of large or exotic birds. According to you, he agreed to buy 2 of the large bird cages, the ones that you showed me that were inside of your house, and he agreed to buy them for $1,000. He came, he picked them up. He didn't have the $1,000. He gave you his word that he would pay you $250 a month, hole in the wall. You agreed to that. Didn't hear from him for a long time. Finally, he got in touch, and he sent you $100. In total, over several months, he sent you a total of $300, and then nothing else.
Judge Judy, we received $200.
Only two?
Yes.
$200.
That's correct.
Right. First payment was missed. He said his daughter needed braces. He missed another payment. He said, claimed his wife Ann had a stroke. December, he sent you a payment, and he sent another $100 the end of January. And then he just stopped paying for them.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you picked up the cages,
it was supposed to be
how much was your agreement?
$200.
And when were the payments supposed to start? Is not an answer.
Closed captioning is provided by Thomas and Marcy Savage are suing Trent Bergeron for failing to pay for 2 bird cages.
Okay. Now, the defendant says that he agreed to take the 2 cages and the outdoor aviary. And then a lot of excuses, a lot of reasons, and then COVID hit, and he said, just like a piece of junk anyway. When you bought the 2 bird cages, do you recall how many years ago you bought them?
Approximately in 2001 on one of the cages. Later on, we replaced it with another cage in about 2010 or 11. But these were all indoor.
I want to know what you paid for the 2 cages that the defendant took.
One of them we paid $900 for. That was the beige large one. The dome cage we paid approximately $698. Now, there was a third piece that they had taken, which was a wrought iron indoor perch.
It was a standing perch for feeding.
And how much did you pay for that?
That perch was $298.
Okay. And all of these things were purchased over a 20-year period. Is that what you're telling me?
That is correct.
Okay. So in total, over a 20-year period, you paid approximately, if I believe it, because you don't have receipts for that, approximately $1,900.
That is correct.
Okay. Well, what your statement is, sir, is that they agreed to sell you what for how much?
Okay, it was...
I just want to hear.
Okay, it was the 2 cages, the outdoor aviary, the perch, and then there was miscellaneous bowls and like...
And you took the perch, and you took the 2 cages?
Yes, ma'am.
And you paid nothing?
We agreed to do payments.
Well, you agreed to do payments, sir, because you came to pick up the stuff with no money.
Well, our agreement was...
You came... No. Was your initial agreement that you were going to make payments? Or did you come to pick up the cages with just no money and say, I'll make payments?
No, our agreement was to make payments.
Okay. You picked up the cages, the 2 cages and the perch, in what month?
It was November.
November of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you supposed to pay each month?
At first it was $200, and then with everything that was going on with my
No, not everything. Just a second. When you picked up the cages, it
was supposed to be...
How much was your agreement?
$200.
And when were the payments supposed to start? Is not an answer. In December.
I believe following month.
That's December.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay the $200 in December?
We didn't. She said $100 would be sufficient.
No, just a second. You didn't. Did you call her and tell her that you couldn't make the $200 payment? Did you call her? Yes. Did he call you?
Yes, after I contacted him via text.
Okay, so you contacted him?
Correct.
On what date did you contact him?
The contract was signed November 17th, 2019. And then...
Do you have a copy of the contract?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
And I take that back. Trent did call on November 21st, and he claimed he was unable to make the first payment due to his daughter needed braces and he had too many bills.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Before you try to sell it to anybody, clean it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Thomas and Marcy Savage are suing Trent Bergeron for failing to pay for 2 bird cages.
Now, he's just a scammer. He just scammed you, is really all. He owes you $800. He paid you $200. He agreed to pay you $1,000 for all of them. That's what he owes you. You're not supposed to do that to nice people, sir. You're not supposed to take the property that you don't intend to pay for. We're done. $800, judgment for the plaintiff.
Right. This case is concluded.
I'm up with these days.
I feel it was very fair.
We tried bringing back the cages.
They had a passion for birds, such as we did, and we would work with him as best we could.
It's over.
I am sorry for them, but it has to do with integrity.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Roberts versus Bamberry. Step forward.
Jessica Roberts is suing her ex-fiancé, Tim Bamberry, for the return of the engagement ring. Jessica claims she was the one who paid for it.
Miss Roberts, you and the defendant were engaged. The engagement didn't work out. Some convoluted story that the ring that was purchased, which I assume is in that box, which was your engagement ring, was purchased and your credit card was used. When you broke up, the ring went with Mr. Bamberry, and you want him to pay for it.
Somewhat.
Well, you don't want to be stuck with the payments without the ring, right?
Exactly.
How much was the ring?
Total, I think it was $3,500.
Not around. How much was the ring?
It was 35 something. I don't have, it doesn't show me the total amount here. It just shows me the last balance. It's $958.81. That's what's left. He paid most of it.
He paid most of it?
Yes.
So then let's talk about this. Let's talk about what he bought the engagement ring, and you say he paid most of what it is.
Right.
You now have it back, right?
Yes.
And that's what I would do if you bought the ring and she kept it. Let's say you put the ring on your credit card, sir, and you broke up, and she refused to give you back the ring. You would sue her and say, I want the ring back, right?
Yes.
Because I bought it and I paid for it. You have the ring.
Yes.
She doesn't want to get stuck with this $958. Do you want the ring back?
Yes.
Then you have to give her back the $958. That's very simple.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, sir, when engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage, the marriage doesn't come off for one reason or another. Person who gave the ring gets it back. That would be you, but you got to pay for it. Then the ring is yours. You can sell it, recoup whatever you can get from selling it to a private party. Can I see the ring? Just because I'm a little bit of a yenta.
It was designed for me. It was the salespeople.
Pretty. Before you try to sell it to anybody, clean it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Needs a good cleaning. Okay, anything else you want to tell me? Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $958. That's all. Give him back his ring, Bird. It's his.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You took the sneakers and then claimed they were fakes.
We did a UV light test, which is an indicator of them not being authentic.
Sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're a bug.
Judge Judy.
I just wanted the ring paid off. I wanted no more ties to each other.
Well, I was hoping that, I could at least try to recoup some of my losses.
We just couldn't communicate with each other to come to a resolution.
Probably because we still were kind of, getting along at one time, and we just tried to do it, and we just got back in each other's faces, kept yelling and screaming.
We broke up because we fight too much.
It just wasn't meant to last, I guess.
Very whirlwind. We were engaged a month after we met.
It was unbelievably fast and good.
We were broke up 2 months later.
Live and learn. Just take my time next time I fall in love.
Take it a little slower next time.
Take it slow. Don't rush into things anymore.
while landlords stacked up as renters.
$600 is what you charged.
6 beds in one room, 5 beds in another.
Now a tenant piles up her complaints.
We have no fire escapes in our room. I was constantly cleaning. There are pictures of me here. Here's one of him illegally dumping.
Are you finished now?
Yeah.
If you move into a place where there are 6 bunk beds, it's not going to be a happy situation.
This is Judge Judy. Renee Baca is suing her former landlord, Kenneth Crawford, for the return of rent, the balance of her security deposit, fraud, and pain and suffering.
Judges, case number 208 on the calendar in the matter of Baca versus Crawford. Parties have been sworn in. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Crawford, what kind of a residence do you have where you rent rooms?
I have a residence that houses rooms for usually international folks who come here to train for dancing. I'm a professional choreographer, and I lived in Japan, so that's where I began the business. I'm sorry.
Do you live in the house?
I do live in the house.
Is it a private house?
No, it's not a private house.
What is it?
Like a hostel, but mainly geared towards entertainers. I lived in Japan for some time, and I was...
Listen to me. I don't care.
Okay.
Not that I don't care to hear your life story. That's not what this program is about.
Okay.
For that, you go on somebody else's program. Here, I care about what she's suing for, which a lot of which is nonsense, but she wants the return of her deposit. Tell me what this hostel looks like. Does it look like an apartment house? Does it look like a private house? Does it look like a condo? What does it look like?
I have pictures here, Your Honor, and it's a single-family dwelling.
Okay.
Yes.
So, well, that's an answer. I'm going to get to an answer. It's a single-family dwelling.
Yes.
That has how many bedrooms?
It has 4 bedrooms. 1 is my private, and 3 are for other tenants. 1 has 6 bedrooms, 1 has 5, and 1 has 2.
Okay. Doesn't have 6 bedrooms. 1 has 6 beds.
6 beds, sorry, yes. 6 beds in one room, 5 beds in another, and 2 in another.
Those 13 beds, if all occupied, are all occupied by unrelated people.
Yes.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Now, is your private house zoned for that?
As far as I know, yes.
For you to have
I do pay
13,
taxes.
well, I know you pay taxes, but when you have 13 unrelated people that you rent part of a room for, there usually require certain inspections.
Okay.
Just answer the question. I assume you have no such license, nor was your dwelling ever inspected to have multiple tenants in each room.
Correct. It has not been.
So the plaintiff answered an ad for a bed for $600, which is what you charged for a bed, according to what I read, a bed in the bedroom that has bunk beds in it, and was occupied by how many people when she occupied that room?
2.
Herself and one other, or herself and 2 others?
There were 2 other people there. When she came in, she would make 3.
Were there ever any more than 3 in that room?
Yes, there were 4.
While she was there?
Yes, 4.
So during the time she was there, your income from that room alone was $2,400 a month.
Correct.
Now, were there people occupying the bedroom that had 5 beds?
I don't think so. I don't recall. It's been really slow since COVID.
Was anybody occupying the room where there were 2 beds?
Yes, Mr. Inez.
1 person?
1 person.
And how much?
$150 per month.
So in total, you were receiving $3,150 in rent from those tenants in a only partially, according to you, occupied situation.
Yes.
Not bad. Plaintiff lived there for 3 months, Miss Baca. So you...
4 months, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I'm giving... Well, no, she moved in, according to her, on August 24th.
Right.
And she moved out on November 27th. So she lived there September, October, and November.
You are correct, ma'am. Sorry.
Did she pay rent for September, October, and November?
Yes.
And she gave you a security deposit of $110?
Yes.
Which you returned to her $30?
Incorrect. I returned $60, and I have the proof here and the cash.
Okay. Did he return $60, Miss Baca, or $30?
I believe it was 60 after I looked at the Cash App return.
Okay, so that you were mistaken here. So he kept only $50.
I believe so, yes.
Now, I'm going to give you, Miss Baca, less than 2 minutes to tell me why you lived there, you left, you didn't like it. I wouldn't have liked it either, living in bunk beds with 3 strangers that I didn't know. Lease with him, I assume. Is that right?
I didn't have a lease.
So you can move whenever you want. You're suing him for $5,000, which is money for the return of rent, deposit, fraud, pain and suffering. And what I'm going to tell you is I have an egg timer on my hand. You're a grown-up woman. If you don't like where you're living, you move out. And if you move into a place where there are 6 bunk beds where you're going to share a room with 3 strangers, you should know that it's not going to be a happy situation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your timer has started.
Okay, so I met him through an ad that he had, a false ad.
I don't care. Just a second. I don't care how you met him. You lived there for 3 months. And you were in a bind when you took the room.
Yes.
According to you. You were in a bind when you took the room. That's not his fault.
I was homeless.
And you lived there for 3 months.
Yes, Your
And you
Honor.
lived there for 3 months. So far, he's going to have to explain to me why he kept $50 of your security deposit, not $5,000. This is not door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3, Miss Baca. This is not a huge payday for you. You lived in a place, so I'm sorry, I'm eating into your time. Tell me where $50 becomes $5,000.
Well, I got assaulted, Your Honor, by one of the roommates. The houses do have security throughout the entire of that, so I don't have evidence of physically getting assaulted. Within that time as well, we had no fire escapes in our room. We had an ad for a maid. I was constantly cleaning, and there are pictures of me here cleaning constantly. I got a sty in my eye due to the compound powder that was from the maintenance man that also lived in the house. And these are all the photos that I have. Here's one of him illegally dumping. I had to deal with harassment from the maintenance man, who also left his discharge papers for methamphetamines when my building manager had given him a job to paint and to fix an outlet, which was a simple task. He's also sending me harassment with texts and pictures that say, and as well, one of my computers was damaged by a roommate for having food and beverages in the bedrooms that we were not supposed to have. So Kenneth told me that I had a safe place to move into. I saw this place. I thought it was fantastic. He told me I could do my artwork. He even gave me a separate space in the laundry room because of all the maintenance work that had been done. My friend of the roommates I moved in, who was a photographer, she does a little bit of modeling. He took some pictures of her. A paper was left in the studio, and he didn't give me warning not to use the studio. He just told me I wasn't allowed to use it anymore at all. So considering I had moved in for the creativity of what the house offered, that was then denied to me because of a piece of paper being left in the room. Mind you, I did bring 3 people of my own that have been giving him rent to stay there in the house as well. They asked for a safe place to live, and I recommended him, and we were all there.
Are you finished now?
Yeah.
Good, great. Now you're going to tell me why you kept her $50.
For infractions for not cleaning her dishes. They're all written here in the email. There are infractions in the house.
No. Are you telling me that you punished her by keeping her $50?
Oh, not just for that. I'm sorry.
Because she broke your house rules. That's the first thing you said to me, which would be the most important thing. So the most important thing is she broke the house rules.
She broke the house rules.
Is that right?
Correct, ma'am.
What else? Anything else?
Besides breaking multiple house rules, no. They was all a combination of that. Clogging the toilet. Her friend, I didn't see the friend. Not returning the key, giving away property at her checkout. I have it all in the email. She did eventually.
Hang on, and don't go on with nonsense.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the reason that you kept her security deposit because she didn't follow the house rules?
Correct.
And that was the only reason?
Yes, correct.
Good. Then your counterclaim for $3,000 is dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, you talk about other kind of damages, which is all nonsense.
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $50. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Kenneth is a fraud. Sleepy Downstairs is a fraud. The roommates there are frauds.
I'm happy with the judgment. $50 is $50.
He has favorites. And obviously, I came here to get justice, and I'm just thankful that Judge Judy knows what she's doing.
Oh, I think Judge Judy is exactly what I expected. I thought she was great, candid, to the point.
I think that he's petty, and anybody else that would see this case would understand what I'm saying.
I provide a service that allows people who are entertainers, who are struggling, who are going through transitions in their life.
He has lock boxes on air conditioning, so you can't even use that.
Now, there's a lock on the air conditioning because she had an argument over 3 degrees with the roommate.
I've moved on to better places.
If you're 38 years old and you need to share a room with 6 other people, more than likely there's something going on in your life, and it's not for me to judge. I've been there.
All parties in the matter.
Brian Don is suing fellow motorist Francis Moore for ramming his vehicle when he pulled out of his spot in a grocery store parking lot.
Mr. Don, you and the defendant were in a Trader Joe's parking lot. This automobile accident happened on the 31st of October of this year.
Correct.
And according to what I read in the papers, I'm not quite following the events from what you and the defendant both describe in both your complaint and answer. The long and short of it is you each claim that the other is responsible for an automobile accident, and you were both parked.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He initially hit my back door, and as he was turning right, his car slid further, and that scratch or the damage extended to my front door.
I'm not actually sure. I think you were probably both being a little too stupid.
Brian Don claims fellow motorist Francis Moore was at fault for an accident in a grocery store parking lot. Francis is countersuing for his insurance deductible.
Okay. Do either of you have a photograph of where you were parked or a diagram of where you were parked?
I do. I have a diagram sketch.
I'd like to see a photograph.
It's right here.
Okay. Would you, Mr. Moore, one of you was parked in a spot where there was a divider so that nobody could park right next to that car. And that would be is that a white Lexus?
Yes. Yes, that's mine.
Whose car is that?
That's mine.
That's your car?
Mr. Moore's, right.
Okay. And the car next to that car is your car. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And you were both backed into your spots?
Yes.
Correct.
Or did you back into your spot?
Correct. I backed into my spot.
Did you back into your spot?
I don't remember. I could have pulled forward or I could have backed in. Forgive me.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. Because sometimes if there's no car in front of you, you can just pull in
and
to
that's
the space
what I try to
so
do.
that you can pull out to...
You don't have to back out.
Okay. Got it. So why don't you start, sir? You and your girlfriend, according to you, were leaving Trader Joe's. And you, sir, were leaving the parking lot where Trader Joe's is. And you were also leaving.
Correct.
Correct?
We came out simultaneously almost.
Okay. So why don't you tell me what happened, sir?
So we had both of our vehicles backed into the spot.
little car?
Yep. Pulling forward. And as I was pulling forward, the defendant's vehicle pulled forward as well and struck me on the right side of the vehicle. The photos of the damage and the potential impact on my vehicle will clearly show that I was fully in the aisle at the time, so I had the right of way, and he should have yielded to me because he had struck me on the passenger side rear door, and because he was also turning right, that scrape extended to the passenger side front door as well. And I have photos of the damage to my vehicle to show that.
I'd like to see your photographs.
So there's a close-up shot of the damage. As you can see, the initial impact was against the passenger side rear door, and a scrape extended into
passenger side front door.
Rear door. The first impact was against the passenger side rear door, and then extended to the front door.
Where is the damage to the defendant's car?
The left front bumper.
May I see it? Do you have a picture of his damage?
Yep.
May I see it, please? Okay. You had full coverage on your car, so your counterclaim is for the deductible that you had to pay, the $500 deductible. You want to tell me your version of damage to the side of his car?
Correct.
And you have damaged the front of your car. His car didn't slide into yours.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You had an accident. Did you have insurance?
I had insurance. I removed collision coverage because of the age of the car, and I had a buyer who was going to purchase the car as well, but turned it down after the damage.
Okay, well, that's too bad. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Don claims fellow motorist Francis Moore was at fault for an accident in a grocery store parking lot. Francis is countersuing for his insurance deductible.
Okay, go ahead.
His car, when we pulled out, he pulled forward and turned right in front of me. You said it properly, Judge, when you said that. You kind of looked at it, and it didn't make sense the way he said it, even to our insurance people, that it didn't make sense that, first of all, I hit his front door. He was in front of me at an angle, about a 30-degree angle or so. So he pulled forward and pulled in front of me and hit me, and you can see that he was here.
Well, but what I don't understand, actually, Mr. Don, is how would have hit your rear passenger door and then gone into the front door. That is what I'm not understanding from your story.
So,
Mr. Don, that's
so I was turning right when I was exiting my parking spot. So I was in the aisle at the time when he pulled forward, and he was also turning right. So when I was fully in the aisle, he pulled out, turned right, and he initially hit my rear door.
You mean he pulled? What you want me to believe is that, Mr. Moore, you were already in front of him.
Yes, I was.
If what you're saying is that he hit your rear first and then continued to the front, you had to be totally in front of him. And he's not backing up, so he's looking straight ahead.
Correct. I was in front of him.
He's looking straight ahead. I don't buy it, Mr. Don. Sorry, not buying it. Okay.
I have a witness here who can corroborate my statement as well.
Well, you have a witness. Is that your girlfriend who was in the car with you?
Yes.
If I brought her up, would she tell me the same thing that you told me?
She will verify my statements, yes. But that's how it happened. I don't know how I could have hit his car from my angle, right? Someone teach me how I could have hit his car from my angle. Unless
I don't know. We could start out at the back of your car, and then the damage started at the back passenger door and then continued to the front passenger door. I'm not following that logically.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, he was turning right as I was in front of him. So he initially hit my back door, and as he was turning right, his car slid further, and that scratch or the damage extended to my front door.
Fine. Fix your own car. Sir, fix your own deductible. You had your car fixed?
Yes.
You had your car fixed?
Yes.
Good. You had the bumper fixed?
Everything.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I'm not actually sure. I think you were probably both being a little too stupid, and I'm not getting involved with it. If you didn't have collision on your car, that's your problem. You had an accident. Did you have insurance?
I had insurance. I removed collision coverage because of the age of the car, and I had a buyer who was going to purchase the car as well, but turned it down after the damage.
Okay, well, that's too bad. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're done here. Thank you very much. You still driving the car?
Yes, I am.
Good. Goodbye.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
You cooked your goose 10 minutes ago.
I don't eat goose.
You're an idiot. I don't know who's going to give you a job as an emergency service person. I wouldn't.
Let's pray you don't need CPR.
I wouldn't need it from you.
Next, Judge Judy.